A long time ago, in Ijeoma village in Ijeoma kingdom, there lived a fearless strong man called Odogwu. Odogwu was born to the then Eze of Ijeoma village, a rural agricultural community. One day, he walked up to his father, the Eze, to ask for his own inheritance, since the Eze had given portions of farmlands as inheritance to his first 9 sons who were older than Odogwu. Odogwu was the 10th son. So he said to his father, "Nnam, is it when I grow white hairs on my head that you would give me my own inheritance? Did you forget me, Nnam?" The Eze, who was already 100 years old but still strong, laughed hilariously and said, "Odogwu, Onyike, I was just thinking about you and your younger brothers yesterday. You must go to my 5 right-hand cabinet men, the senior Ozo title holders. Invite them to come and see me immediately. They already know what I apportioned to you in particular." The Eze started coughing. Odogwu rushed to give him some water from the clay pot at the right-hand corner of the palace. He got better after drinking and continued, "Yes, Odogwu, they will take you to the different farmlands that are yours, specifically marked for you." Odogwu bowed and said to the Eze, "Nnam, live forever. The glory of your reign would spread and be a light to other villages and kingdoms. Thank you, Nnam. Daalurine." Odogwu inherited the lands and went on to cultivate them. He hired many hands to work for him. Odogwu also married one of the most beautiful girls in Ijeoma called Nnodoka. They were both happy until their 10th year of marriage, when Nnodoka gave birth to another baby girl in addition to the 4 she had earlier. Trouble started in a once beautiful and peaceful home. Odogwu became sour, angry really. He started blasting Nnodoka for giving him only girls as children. Nnodoka kept pleading with him, promising to give him a son. None of her words meant anything to Odogwu, and one day he blasted her and said, "Tell me, were you sent here to ruin my life and lineage? What am I doing with all these things you have been given birth to in this home? Are you trying to tell the world that I am a useless nobody who has nobody to inherit his many farmlands? I married you because I thought you were beautiful in and out, but now I know you mean evil for me. Your useless beauty is only on your face, not in your heart." Nnodoka couldn't even utter a word. She just kept weeping, almost ashamed that she couldn't give her husband a son. The next day, she went and spoke to her mom. She gave her a concoction that her friend had taken years ago and had 2 bouncing baby boys after having first 3 girls. Nnodoka wiped her tears and went home happy. She fixed a delicious onugbu soup and very smooth pounded yam for her husband. That's particularly Odogwu's favorite. He came home and ate up the food as Nnodoka gisted him of how well her goats are doing. She said, "Nani, my white goat gave birth to 4 kids today. Even the hens are laying eggs now." Odogwu was half interested in her gist. Then came a gentle rain. They were hardly hearing each other when Odogwu let out, "Bia Wanya, when would you give me a son?" And indeed, sons. My father had 17 sons. Or have you forgotten? I am the 10th. I don't want to be forced into marrying a second and a third wife like Nam. I have been waiting for you. You are tasking my patience, Wanya. Through all this, Nnoduka was smiling because she had already taken the son-breeding concoction that her mother gave her and was sure her next pregnancy would yield a son. She gently apologized and begged Odogwu, saying, "Nani, let us try again. I am sure I will give you a son." The next morning, she was singing happily because she knew that a son had entered her womb the night before. On the day of delivery, the local midwife announced the arrival of twin girls, making the number 7 girls. Odogwu almost fainted when he heard. For 3 days he stayed away from his home and was in the house of one of his elder brothers. Odogwu refused to even eat. He refused the congratulations that came from people. He said, "You all are mocking my disastrous situation. This is but a crisis let loose on me by my enemies. Our great-grandfathers killed twins whenever they were born. Some white men from the city came and convinced them that twins are welcome, that they are a double blessing. Now, are you trying to say these things are a blessing? No, please, save your congratulatory messages. I feel mocked and let down by this mess of having so many things called children and no male child to inherit my huge farms and preserve my name. My name is Odogwu. This thing doesn't fit me." A few years passed, and Odogwu was contemplating different things. The fear of the troubles in his father's house as a result of having 3 wives. The fact that his own mother died early because of the many troubles in the home made Odogwu not venture into taking a second wife. People were giving him both solicited and unsolicited advice. Odogwu was in a fix. Going to the farm and drinking with his friends became a daily practice in order to escape from the multitude of girls in his home, as he called them. One fateful night, Nnoduka pleaded with Odogwu to calm down, that everything would be all right. She became pregnant again. In 9 months, Ikena was born. The entire Umuoma village celebrated for 5 days as Odogwu declared surplus to feed as many as came to celebrate the birth of his son, Ikena. He killed a fat cow and 3 goats for daily entertainment. As they were celebrating, one friend of his, Osita, said, "Odogwu, you see yourself now? You said that your wife only knows how to produce girls and that she has turned your house into a market of girls. Now see, Ikena has come. Can we now rest?" Odogwu replied, "Osita Nwanna, what a man sees can be too much to bear sometimes." Ikena became Odogwu's main child, his pride. Talk of being born with a golden spoon in his mouth. That's what Ikena was. He became Odogwu's most loved child as he paid little or zero attention to the girls. And to his wife Nnoduka, Ikena was the best of the best. Pampered to the last by his parents and sisters, Ikena carried himself as if the world revolved around him. He had this entitlement mentality that often infuriated his fellow boys. Nodoka wouldn't even let him learn how to ride a bicycle lest he broke his legs if he fell off the bicycle. Ikenna always had his way. He would be rude to his sisters anytime they asked him to help out around the house. He would retort, "Don't you know that I am a man and every home chore is for you girls?" Binta, who is the fifth girl and fondly called Binta, wouldn't take his shit and was the only one that would speak up against his foolery. "Oh, you call those girls? Why you small rat are a man? I pity whichever girl would marry you." Ikenna would walk off to lie down in his room. This hot exchange with Binta would only happen if Odogwu and his wife were not around, because Odogwu and Nodoka would always rise to Ikenna's defense to the chagrin of Binta. Ikenna followed his father to the farm occasionally, and I mean occasionally. One day, Nodoka called Ikenna aside and said, almost whispering with a tinge of excitement, "Ikenna, life is already made for you. You are the heir, the inheritor of all Nani's estates, all the farmlands he has across Umuoma village. You remember he bought extra plots of farmlands the other day. I overheard him talking to Osita, his friend, that apart from the 4 he recently bought, that he would buy more to give Ikena a good head start in life." "Ikemo, na you biko, after you na you," Ikena responded with hugs. "Ezinem dalo. But let me ask, how would I be doing all the farming on all the lands alone?" Nodoka responded, "Ikem, you will hire Ndiolo. You don't need to stress yourself at all for life. The many Ndiolo you hire will do all the work. Relax, Joe." This conversation came up between them once and again. That was it for Ikena. Sealed and delivered. Done deal. He carried himself around Umuoma village like a pepperless man. He had friends who hated his pride but stuck on because of the little fallouts they got from him. At his back, Ikena's friends would make jest of him. One told the others, "This foolish Ikena thinks he owns the world and that every girl in this village would be at his beck and call when he is ready to marry. He also said that he doesn't need to pay any bride price, that he is a good price already." The others shouted at the absurdity of such a statement. One said, "Would Ikena change the tradition of our Umuoma village or our Ijeoma kingdom? His father's money is turning his head, I must say." In spite of all they know, they followed him and even carried him on their bicycles to wherever he wanted to go to, since he couldn't ride one. Ikena never fought with his fellow boys. Never. He was too weak for such an enterprise. Years flew on and Ikena matured into a young man ready to marry. The sisters were also getting married off one by one. Many girls in Umuoma who didn't really know him admired him, his courage and all. The girls who knew him well would mock, "Ikena is not a marriage material. He is mama's boy." Another would say, "Is he only a mama's boy? He is also his many sisters' boy." Approaching girls in Umuoma became a problem for Ikena, in spite of his smooth talking expertise. No girl wanted to be seen hanging out with him, let alone listen to his smooth talks. One day, Ikena and his friends went to a neighboring village to watch a wrestling match between the village and another village. Always a fan, but never participating. Ikena, while watching, spotted a beautiful girl at the opposite side of the wrestling arena. he sent one of his friends to go talk to the girl. He found that the girl is Ijeoma, and she is the first daughter of a great man in that village. Ijeoma is well brought up and respectful. Another such visit to that village got Ikena smooth talking to Ijeoma. Without knowing that much about Ikena, Ijeoma accepted to marry this man that swept her off her feet with such ease. On inquiry, her people were told by an onye akebe who said, "Ndibani, this Ikena is a great man. Oh. He is the son of Odogwu of Umuoma village. Ikena comes from the lineage of the great king Eze of Umuoma. My people, Ikena is Eze Umuoma's real grandson. He is a good man for our daughter Ijeoma." Case closed. On Ijeoma's side, there was just one problem. For all the muzzles Ikena flung around, Ijeoma thought that Ikena would foot her father's and people's bill with ease. This bill, however, had both money and some physical showmanship. Ijeoma was a first daughter. To marry a first daughter, also known as the Ada, a suitor must engage in a wrestling contest with another man in that village. But Ikena didn't know this. Odogwu was all for this marriage between Ikena, his pride, and beautiful Ijeoma. Did Odogwu not know about this wrestling contest? He sure knew. He just thought that there must be a way around it. Also, a part of the rule is that the suitor, the prospective groom, would choose the man among 10 men presented that he would wrestle with. That was the catch as far as Odogwu was concerned. Odogwu held meetings after meetings with his umunna. One of them, who is very vocal, stood up to speak up. "Odogwu, we don't want to go to Amovo village to take a wife for your son. Why must it be from that Amovo? Do we not have enough beautiful girls in this Umuoma and other villages? Ikena is never known to fight or wrestle, even in play with his fellow boys. You want him to go there to disgrace us? Mbano, no way. It can't happen. We are the descendants of Eze Gwebike Atwegu, whom even Oyibo men feared because he defeated them in battle even with all their guns. We don't go out in combat with any man and come back with shame. Odogwu, you need to have a rethink. Tabubo, it is still early enough for us to cancel this adventure." Others supported him. However, Odogwu calmed them down. He had a plan. He convinced them to go with him to see Ijeoma's father and kindred, to present some gifts and place their intentions on the table before them. One of Ijeoma's uncles explained the processes for taking a wife from Amovo village. Ikena shook from within. Because when he finally got to know about the wrestling contest, he just thought somehow that it would be waived for him. Dates were fixed. Odogwu is no pushover in wriggling out of trouble anyhow. He had his plans. Ikena came home and went to share his fears with his mother. "Nem, how would I go to wrestle just in order to marry a girl that I want? Why would they be putting such demands?" Noduka calmed him down and whispered to him, "Nani has a plan. Ikemo, relax. I told you you are settled for life. Ha! You will see. Let it not trouble you at all, Ikenam." The day of the wrestling contest was fast approaching. To win, you must ensure the back of your opponent touches the ground. That signals a game over. Ikena suddenly took ill, so it was postponed to the first Afo day after 2 weeks. They gave enough time for Ikena to recover fully. The village gathered. Odogwu and his kindred and friends, Ikena and his friends, all were there to witness this unique wrestling match. Within 7 minutes, Ikena was up atop his opponent. The referee took up Ikena's hand and declared, "Ndibani, winner of the wrestling contest and a suitable suitor for our beautiful daughter, is here presented. Ikena, son of Odogwu." Odogwu and his people broke into a big dance. They all went home happy. However, Odogwu's people kept wondering how the magic happened. Knowing that Ikena lacked all the known basics of wrestling. On the set date, Odogwu and Ikena with their kindred and friends went to do Ibanku at Ijeoma's father's compound, where Amovo people had gathered to receive and entertain them. It was a huge feast. Ikena took Ijeoma home. Odogwu had already built a house for him in the same large compound where he lives. All the girls had married and were in their own homes, except Binta, though. Ijeoma took in 3 months later. She could no longer get up early to fix food for Ikena. She started getting nauseous and throwing up, and some days felt really sick. Ikena was irritated, and one morning he decided he had to speak up to Ijeoma. "Come, Ijeoma, what's all this messing around a new house? What's all the throwing up and down? Did anyone tell you that that's how a wife behaves? My mother and my sisters never did that at home. What is really wrong with you? Are you a sickler or what?" Ijeoma was in tears this time. I said, "I wasn't like this before, but I suspect I am pregnant." Ikena said, "Is that how pregnant women carry on in their husbands' houses? They refuse to cook and take care of basic chores just because they are pregnant? I beg you." The whole stuff irritated him to the max, so he would stroll to his mom's kitchen to eat. Remember that Ikena didn't know how to even boil water. Noduka always made sure that Ikena ate well each time he strolled in. Nothing would make Binta change her mind about completely hating Ikena's laziness and lousiness. But Binta and Ijeoma quickly became friends. Ikena started snapping and shouting at Ijeoma at the slightest provocation. Next, the man that couldn't fight with his fellow men started beating Ijeoma. The wrestling he did to marry Ijeoma has left unanswered questions in the hearts of many in Umuoma village. One day, Binta strolled down to see Ijeoma. As she got close to the house, she heard Ijeoma screaming. She rushed in, thinking that a fox in a close-by Umuoma forest attacked her. Instead, she saw Ikena holding Ijeoma by the throat, trying to squeeze life out of her. She hit him hard and separated them while berating Ikena. Binta was very angry and kept scolding him. The spoiled Ikena was answering Binta back. Binta then dropped the bombshell. She said, "Oh, you can now beat her because she is in your house? She agreed to marry you. If Papa hadn't given 100 tubers of yams to the man you wrestled with, would you have married her? Suddenly you have enough stamina to turn her into your punching bag. Ewu." The cat had been let out of the bag. Soon, many heard the gist on how he won the wrestling match to take a wife. Ijeoma's pregnancy was due and she gave birth to twin boys, Sochima and Sumto. There was a huge celebration sponsored, of course, by Odogwu. One would think Ikena would appreciate his wife more and show more love and care. No, not Ikena. He beat her in the presence of her mom, who had come for Omugwo to help in caring for Ijeoma and her babies. Ijeoma started fighting back. There were some days of peace and some days of katakata. A few years down the line, Ijeoma gave birth to another boy and another boy later. 4 boys. You would think that Ijeoma would be daily celebrated in Odogwu's family for all the boys. But no, Ikena's sisters would have none of that. They gave Ijeoma all manner of bad names because she asked Ikena to help out in the house. 6 days after she had the last baby, she fixed a meal for entitled King Ikena. Nodoka and Ijeoma's mom and Binta were in the house. Ikena roundly ignored Ijeoma when she asked him where he would prefer to stay to eat. The mothers all kept mum. Binta raised her voice at Ikena, while he complained that Ijeoma was disrespectful in the way she threw the question. This lazy man, who was waiting to inherit his father's many farmlands, continued molesting his wife Ijeoma. He even had mouth to call her a lazy woman. In a few more years, things suddenly took a new turn for Odogwu's family. He was on his bike from the farm on a rainy evening. Thunder struck him down. Other men who were on the same pathway carried him home. Odogwu became very sick from this point on. The local herbalist tried everything he could, but he was getting worse. His family became restless. They agreed to take him to the hospital in the city. Binta would stay with him at the hospital till he got well. Ikena could not be trusted to do this for his father. The money involved was becoming huge as the doctors kept running one test after another. Odogwu wasn't getting any better. After a few months, all Ikena's sisters except Binta held a meeting with their mom. The Ada stood up and said, "We all know, we all have checked it thoroughly, traced it well, that it is since Ijeoma came to this family that things started going sour and south for us all. Mama, we should send her away for us to see peace." Others interjected, "Exactly. She's a witch. Ikena stopped making progress. Mama has very poor vision, almost technically blind, and even our strong papa has been in the hospital for months now." These ladies stormed Ikena's house and threw Ijeoma's stuff out of the house, shouting that she was a witch. The Umunna gathered to try to broker peace, but Ikena and his 6 sisters told different lies to convince them that Ijeoma must leave the house immediately. Ijeoma wept bitterly and left the house, and also left the 4 boys who were weeping also. Yes, they warned her to not take the boys. The sisters also left. Ikena, who couldn't help Ijeoma in taking care of their children, was then left to take care of them single-handedly. Meanwhile, Odogwu wasn't getting any better. The doctors couldn't find anything in all the tests they ran on him. No explanations, yet he was losing his life. More and more money was needed to run more tests and give more medication. Ikena hatched a simple plan to start selling off his father's farmlands one after the other. Their Umunna had contributed some money for the bills, yet a lot more was needed. Ikena kept selling the farms to the ever-willing buyers. His sons, meanwhile, were running wild. Months rolled into years. Ijeoma picked up a skill set in pottery. She soon became an expert. Her ceramic wares were even sent to the city for sale. A man in the city bought 2 of her handcrafted ceramic wares and took them to the US. The man took one to show a few shop owners. Within a week, 2 others rolled in for Ijeoma's handcrafted ceramic wares. One shop wanted 75 pieces, while a bigger shop wanted 250 pieces. To deliver fast, Ijeoma became an employer of labor. She built her father a more modern house and became the talk of Amovo village. 3 of Ikenna's sisters were kicked out of their husbands' houses for one reason or another. The other 3 came begging Ijeoma for forgiveness and to come back to their Ikenna's house. Ikena had become wretched, especially after wasting the remaining resources on lavish funeral feast for Odogwu, who had died. He ate good food if his children visited their mom Ijeoma, who would feed them and pack some for them to eat at home. Ijeoma sponsors their children's schooling. Ikena became a byword in Umuoma and environs. He approached a few girls to remarry, but they would sing, "To be single is better than to marry a wife beater, a riffraff, a drunk. I got am before, no be property," and they would laugh him to scorn. As for Ijeoma, the man that bought the 2 pieces heard her story and wrote a letter about her to a big women organization in the US. To help her, they bought 2 solar-powered pottery finishes machines to enhance the beauty of her products. One of Ikenna's sisters took Nodoka to stay in her house since she was aging too fast. Bebinta's traditional wedding with a very responsible, hard-working young man whom she met at the hospital while taking care of Odogwu is coming up in 2 months. What have you learned from this story? What do you really think about the story? What is the moral of the story? Importantly, this story shows you should not treat any child differently or spoil your child, especially the only son syndrome. It is never helpful. Please leave your comments below. Remember to click the like button if you enjoyed the story. Also click both the subscribe button and bell to ensure you get to know when we upload another very interesting story. See you then. Goodbye.